And I'm really happy now to move forward with the next panel. So I kindly encourage, I'm going to call those speakers for the upcoming panel on access to space towards a European strategy. Toni Tolker-Nielsen, Acting Director of Space Transportation, European Space Agency, ESA. Christoph Kautz, Director for Space Policy. Space Policy, Satellite Navigation and Earth Observation, DG Defense Industry and Space, European Commission. And Thomas Reiter, Head of Department of Space and Security at the Federal Ministry of Research, Technology and Space. I hope that the two panelists are coming soon. Otherwise, I will ask the staff to encourage them to come. Here we are. We have been so timely with the previous panel that we anticipated the others to come. No problem. Welcome. Welcome, sir. Please, have a seat. We still miss one, but we're gonna start anyway because it's coming. We try to be as flexible and adaptable as the EU Space Act. So honestly, European access to space, to me, it's a worrying issue because, welcome, sir. No problem. Hello. No problem. No problem. Have a seat. We just started with all the three speakers on stage. I was just saying that honestly, European access to space, for me, it's a little bit a worrying issue because the US have changed their paradigm in terms of governance, private sector role, and technologies, making groundbreaking results in terms of launches. And this poses huge challenges to Europe. I hope at the end of the panel I will be more reassured, thanks to our excellent speakers. And therefore, without further ado, let's start with the first round of questions. Same rules of engagement to the previous panel, so 4 minutes for each answer. I will start with Mr. Tolker-Nielsen. And, you know, Europe has to deal with several priorities, several needs. Preparing for usability, ramping up cadence and reliability, building responsiveness, and structuring the demand in a way that sustains the ecosystem. So having said that, the question is what we as Europeans should prioritize in the next years.
Thank you. For the next years, let's just look a little bit back on what happened the last years, so we can look forward on the next years. So we have just re-established European access to space with Ariane 6 and Vega C. We launched the first Ariane in July 24, and we have since launched 4 Ariane in 25. And we are going to increase the cadence to almost a double in 26. For Vega, we have done the same. There were some issues. We returned it to flight in December 24, and we have since launched 3 times with Vega C. So now we are in a stable situation, and we are continuing the ramp up of these launches. Ariane to 9 to 10 launches per year, and Vega should be 5 to 6 launches per year. So that is something we have to keep because that is our guaranteed access to space. So for that purpose, we have been very successful in the ministerial conference last year in November in Bremen. We got a good support to Ariane 6 and Vega C. which will enable to exploit these launchers for the budget we have already secured with the accompaniment and the necessary support to the exploitation of these two launchers until 29, maybe even 30. So that is what we in the future shall look at as our guaranteed access to space. In parallel with that, we have to prepare the future. And the future is, there's a decision to do a paradigm shift in CV in 23, which is actually what we have been taking to the ministerial in 25, this resolution. And the resolution is to introduce more competition in the European launcher sector. And as you know, there is a lot of startups working on mini and micro launchers in Europe. And it was decided to accelerate the development of these launchers because they all have to grow. Their capacity has to grow to become competitive. And we decided to do something called the European Launcher Challenge. And that is helping these startups on two elements. First, support to their initial launch services, but also the help to upgrade the capacity. So they are all working on an initial capacity today, and we want them to grow fast because we think we need it. So there's an element where we support them in upgrade of their capacity, of their initial capacity. And that was really well subscribed and supported by ESA member states. So we had an original envelope for this of 420 million, and it was subscribed like almost 1 million if you combine the European Launcher Challenge program with what we have called the Boost program, which is quite similar in support to these startups. And at the same time, we are implementing a future launcher preparatory program where we support breakthrough technologies and in-orbit demonstrators. What we should concentrate on in the coming period is to maintain Ariane 6 and Vega C as a guaranteed access to space and prepare for the future with the European Launcher Challenge. And then, of course, I expect Christoph to express a need, and maybe we have to look at ramping up further these launch cadences, but we'll see. So that's it for this round. Thank you.
No, it seems to be a kind of a dual-track approach, so to guarantee what we have and to prepare for the future, also in terms of technology changes. Mr. Kautz, the Commission has signaled a stronger interest in access to space, including through the DG DEFIS initiative and the proposed European Competitiveness Fund. If you have a look at it, it's a broader basket where previous programs should be coordinated, but there are also new lines. And access to space is indeed explicitly included under space policy objectives. So the question is, how can EU-level action best complement existing ESA and national efforts, particularly on demand, competitiveness, and resilience?
Thank you very much. I think, as Toni said, and as you rightly summarized, we need to make best use of what we have and then prepare for the future. And I think for both of these elements, it is important that there is a market and that we foster this market, that we increase this market. And I think one way to do that, and this is what we have put in the European Competitiveness Fund, where indeed, as you say, there's a chapter or an article on access to space. It's about aggregation of demand. So we have expresses verbis put this in as an activity which we think useful to do, because aggregation of demand helps to also companies to have a better idea of really what is the public demand. In this case, I'm talking about public demand. And I can also say that we are not waiting until 2028 until the Competitiveness Fund will enter into force. We have already started to procure an IT platform for doing such an aggregation. And I said it, I think, in this conference already a year ago, that the Commission has, in other industrial fields or policy fields, some expertise, but it's all, linked to aggregation. We have created as Commission or as EU a gas aggregation platform, for example. We have aggregated the purchase of vaccines, for example. So I know it's different policy fields, but legally you can say it's a similar activity. So this is something which we definitely want to focus on. And then there is another element which is also mentioned in the Competitiveness Fund, which is about how do we go about ground infrastructure, launch sites, testing sites, and there we also want to become active, and we have also here we don't want to wait until 2028, so we have started to do, for example, a study for first of all mapping all this ground infrastructure, in particular also testing facilities that exist, and one idea is to already at this stage create some transparency of what are all these testing sites that exist, because some of the startups, they might not even know what all these testing facilities that already today exist that can be used. And then there is the question of innovation. Of course, it's a major role of ESA to deal with innovation. So I think here the Commission, of course, is not in the business now of developing launcher engines, but I think we can still stimulate creative ideas with through game-changing innovation. And just today we will, I don't remember now, in the agenda, give 5 prizes for game-changing innovations in the launcher domain. And then last point, I think all this, we need to bundle it together also in setting out a vision for the future. The Commissioner said it this morning in his speech that we're working on a vision for access to space or space transportation, looking into the next 20 years, and where hopefully all public stakeholders, I'm talking member states and ESA, EUMETSAT, could agree on such a vision. I stop here, thank you.
No, thank you for connecting short-term initiatives like the prize, long-term vision, and also the fact that, well, actually it's a process that the European Commission has put in place, where there is no already consolidated EU program like Galileo and Copernicus. So it's an approach in the making. Let's move from the European/EU level, so international organization, to the member state level with Mr. Reiter. And so from your point of view, in a German ministry which has space on its name, and you have space in your personal background, how should Europe think about the relation between assured institutional access and commercial competitiveness when dealing with procurement and industrial policy?
Yes, thank you very much. I think exactly this topic fits very well, not only in this symposium here. First of all, probably some of you have heard the the keynote of my minister, Minister Baer, this morning, talking about this shift of paradigm in the field of launcher development, the rise of startups in this field. And in that respect, I think Toni and Mr. Kautz have nicely addressed that already. So we see indeed this as an excellent opportunity while having assured access to space with the existing launchers as the exact right environment to foster the development of new startups that are building micro launchers. You know, we have some of them in Germany, they are in France, in Spain, in UK and other countries. And this shows that there is quite an interest in coming forward in this field and going a little bit more towards commercial launch services. So far, let's look at the demand in terms of payload class. We have a Vega, we have Ariane 6264, which covers really quite a range of payload classes. All these startups, as I understand, usually are in well below 1 ton class. So this is a good start. They can prove that they can manage the technology, that they can succeed bringing small payloads into orbit. So far, so good. Keep the fingers crossed that all works well. And then the next question is, what is the future? Can they scale up? How can we cover the demand in these different payload classes in future? And of course, that leads exactly to your question, relationship between a short institutional access. Might it be a solution that in future the really high payload class is probably going on institutional level and the lower payload class will be commercial? Or could we imagine that the upscaling of some of these startups is so successful that they are even getting in this high payload class? And I think this is a development that we should support and foster. It's hard to predict how it goes. We all know that probably not all of those startups that are existing today will survive. On the other hand, and I think Mr. Kautz, you mentioned it very well, the demand is rising. We know there will be a lot of telecommunication constellations coming, Earth observation, you all know it. So the demand is high, also in the sense of which payload classes. Galileo, second generation, you will not be able to launch with one of these small launchers. Obviously, we need a high class, payload class rocket. But there are quite a lot of these telecommunication satellites that could fit. I remember last week an article, or probably even the week before, that Eutelsat has contracted Maya Space to bring back OneWeb satellites. So we see there is already a kind of market development developing for these startups. We should not, at this point, try to foresee too much the future and try to restrict it. I would say give it the chance to develop. We all know not all will survive. Give them a chance to advance, also in upscaling. They have to prove it, but that is the right moment. And we can do it very calmly because we know we have assured access with the existing launchers.
No, yes, please.
I'd like to jump on what you said, Thomas. The European launcher challenge we have today is only a first step. And it shall run, the upgraded capacity should arrive before end 28. And it is the intention to continue. And for those of you who listened this morning, we were talking about thousands of satellites, new capacities for telecommunication, LEO PNT, secured communication, even early warning and constellations of thousands of satellites. This is probably going to happen. And this means that the window is open for a high cadence launch service to orbit, and that must be reusable. So the ultimate goal of these privately developed launchers should be a heavy reusable launcher in the time frame 2035, not later than, because I think we will need it at that point in time. High cadence access to space with reusable launchers, heavy reusable launchers, because they are the most economic ones. The bigger it is, the more economic it is. Thank you.
Please.
Just, you see, we're all saying the same thing, because I fully share with what Toni and Mr. Reiter said, that we should work towards work towards that these mini launchers become bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think the European Launcher Challenge is an answer to that. But I think it's a first answer. In 2028, we will need to think about the next way forward to support these mini launchers to become bigger and competitive on the market. But fundamentally, I fully agree with my colleagues here.
No, thank you to listen to each other and to have a conversation, because it was very, very interesting. And also thank you, Thomas, to bring a more risk-keen attitude and more market-oriented attitude, because we often talk about innovation, but innovation is driven also by taking risk and accepting to fail, or accepting that some companies may fail themselves in doing so. And at this point on reusable heavy launchers in the mid to long term, it's a very, very important point, as well as gives a Northern Star as a reference point for industries in all European countries to work on that. I see indeed lots of convergence and lots of sharing, so I'll try with the last 5 minutes this experiment. I'll make the same question to the three of you. Let's see if there are different nuances. The question is, what a successful European access to space should look like, let's say, by 2035. So we take this window, the next 9 years, and we may go in the reverse order. So Thomas, how would you like to see the European access to space in 9 years?
Okay, maybe in very brief.
Very brief, 1 minute each.
I would not predict if there will be in 2035 a demand for institutionally developed launcher. For me, the key point is, are we able to cover all payload classes? The question of reusability, I think, is from an engineering point very interesting, and I think Toni expressed it very well. So that is also a next step in development. And third point, as said before, if this all can be created in a competitive way, I think we are on the right track if we now establish an environment that allows exactly those startups to go in that direction.
Thank you, Thomas. Christoph?
Well, 2035, I hope that indeed these young launcher companies, some of them will have been grown and will be mature and will be competitive. And that leads me to my second point. And I hope that by 2035, all public authorities in Europe only launch with European launchers.
Toni?
2035, we will have at least one heavy reusable launcher. We will probably have Ariane 6 alongside, and maybe we will even have 2 heavy reusable launchers and no Ariane 6. But the full purpose of this should be being able to launch all European strategic and institutional payloads, which will be complemented by commercial undertakings, commercial payloads. And then we will probably be working on a very heavy launcher for exploration, go to the moon, and maybe even with a reusable upper stage. So that is what 2035. And by the way, we have not talked about it at all. This is about access to space. but we will have a infrastructure in place with orbital transfer vehicles, in-orbit fuel depots for launchers and for the orbital transfer vehicles to go to the moon and come back. And we will, of course, also have Space Rider in full operation in 2035.
And that opens to in-orbit service and to other topics that we will deal this afternoon in the next panels. Thank you very much to the three of you for pushing the conversation a bit beyond the already agreed norms of languages and speaking points. Thank you very much. I feel a bit more reassured with respect to my previous anxiety about access to space. Many thanks to the audience for your interest in the conversation. And since I'm also Italian and I feel keen to my roots, I feel it worthy to quote a Latin motto on access to space that is per aspera ad astra. So please join me in a round of applause for our very good speakers.